Welcome back to the vlog. Welcome back to social studies. Let's get it kicking, fourth grade. All right. Yesterday we talked about the American Revolution in the big picture, like all across the United States. Today we're going to talk about the American Revolution in Indiana. And I'm going to have to use my notes for this because I want to get it all right for you guys. But I have a cool activity that we get to do at the end. We're going to do another vlog or a blog, whatever one you want to choose. And I will tell you the topic at the very end. But the American Revolution, for the most part, was fought way over on the colonies because Indiana was still really far inland. The European colonists hadn't really settled that far yet. Because remember, there was that pretend line from the proclamation of King George that they weren't really supposed to cross. So a lot of what was now Indiana was kind of still French territory. It was British territory, but a lot of French people were in it. And so one of the big ways that Indiana was involved in the attack or the revolution was in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. The British had a fort, and they had a leader named Hamilton, not the same one that the movie or the play is about, but they had a leader there called Hamilton. And he was actually really friendly with the Native American people. And so a lot of them were on his side when they started. He dressed like them, he talked with them, he traded with them, and he treated them okay. Not great, but okay. But there was this guy named George Rogers Clark who didn't like the British. And they were using this fort for a lot of their supplies. Fort Detroit, they're using it for a lot of their supplies. And they were also using it to start attacks from that way, because it was kind of like the backside of where all the colonists were, so they could kind of sneak up behind them down from Detroit. And this guy named George Rogers Clark wanted to stop all these attacks. So he gathered 175 men, which doesn't sound like a lot now, but back then that was a lot of people way out in the woods. And he wanted to capture the fort. So he and his men planned to attack the fort and to stop the Native American attacks. Clark and his troops were successful, and they even convinced a lot of the Native Americans in the area to stop attacking the colonists and stop helping the British. Eventually, the commander left Fort Detroit with his troops because they were so outnumbered and outgunned, and they followed the Wabash River and headed towards Fort Sackville across Indiana towards Fort Sackville. And they attacked Fort Sackville. So Clark soon heard about the attack on Fort Sackville, and he also learned that Hamilton was planning an attack that would sweep all the way back up across Indiana. Not going to have any part of that. So a winter attack would be difficult because, remember, there's no roads or rivers. This is really still wild Indiana, and the rivers would be frozen. But that's when he decided to attack because it would be unexpected. Kind of just like George Washington did. Some of you guys may have seen that picture where he's on like a boat and there's ice chunks crossing the Delaware. Kind of Clark did the same thing, but just in Indiana. So he and a group of 100 men set off, and they came to Fort Sackville, where 600 British troops were lying in wait. And George was like a really smart man, so he came up with a strategy or a plan. And he had his men walk back and forth with all sorts of, like, walk one way with one flag, put it down, and walk another way with another flag. So the British thought there were hundreds and hundreds of soldiers, when reality was, it was only 100. Clark, I said before, he got the Native Americans on his side. And so they also attacked the British fort with Clark. Soon, Hamilton thought things were overwhelmed, so after they got attacked, they actually gave up. And the British were pretty embarrassed when they thought that 600 men were attacking, but found out that only 100 men were attacking. And so Hamilton and his officers were kind of able from then on to kind of control the Indiana area. So Indiana didn't have a huge part in the Revolutionary War, but they did play a part. We kind of protected like the back side of the country. So that's kind of cool. We have history all the way back to the Revolutionary War. What I want you guys to do is you're going to have to put on your thinking caps, and we're going to have an alternative ending. I want you guys to vlog or blog about what life might be like if the Americans or colonists back then, if we didn't win the Revolutionary War. Who would be our leader? Would we wouldn't celebrate the 4th of July anymore. Would we eat different kind of foods? Who would we have a president still? Would we have any leadership, or would it all be ruled by Britain? I want you guys to tell me what you think it might be like if America never won the Revolutionary War. And with that said, I will see you in the next vlog.